Episode 10 of Trigun Stampede was pretty solid. I really did like this episode. And I think it's more because getting pretty much a full clear picture as to the driving force of Knives. I mean, I'm always for whenever a villain character, antagonist, actually has some solid plot lines behind him in order to drive him. Being able to understand them while not agreeing with them is always like a massive plus for me. And I think this episode did that, kind of showing why he decided to pretty much take down the spaceships. Now, again, I don't agree with him, and I'm going to argue deeply with him, but still, it's good. Getting a sense that, yes, of course, they are the Independents, that they were being taken care of by Rem, but over time, Knives discovers that they've been doing experiments on a previous Independent, this one that they pretty much dissembled. It doesn't give you a clear picture exactly what they did to this other Independent, just that they found her and she's ripped up into a bunch of pieces. Again, did they dissect her? Did she blow her? I mean, she could have done something to herself. We don't know, but still, the indication here is that they're doing something terrible to the Independents, and in order to protect Vash, he caused this whole incident. It's Vash's fault. He destroyed everything to get him away. But additionally, it kind of gets into the fact that he's been looking into history. Specifically, he was reading the Bible, and he sees in the Bible where there's several cases of mankind going to war with each other, and they keep doing it, and they keep doing it. So obviously, mankind's terrible. We need to get away from mankind. We're better than mankind, so let's cause a war. There's that aspect of the hypocrisy is like, mankind keeps doing destruction, so I'll do destruction. That's gonna save it. That's gonna be better. I'm better than them. I'm gonna cause massive genocide in order to prove that we're better than the people that keep causing genocide. I don't know. Again, you don't always agree with everything they do. At least you understand why they're doing what they're doing. And again, I think this episode did a really good job portraying that. And additionally, pretty much finally revealing a lot of the things around the gates and everything that apparently Knives and this professor figured out that everything is being pulled from another dimension. The reason why the plants are able to produce what they produce is because they're pulling it from another dimension. But unlike the Independents who were able to obtain a soul, these creatures, the other plants, have not been able to obtain that, and he wants to open this dimension and give them their souls. Now, how they came to that conclusion, that's the big question mark. They figured something out, apparently, and this is going to create it. I think that's an awesome way to kind of really explain why the plants are able to create all the things they create. I mean, to be able to produce something of nothing, I just assume as a factor that they're plants. They're this organism that's able to grow, and so I figure they were able to produce some sort of resource depending on how their actual makeup is. But it seemed to be implying that they're actually drawing it from another location, a dimension that's a higher dimension. Now, I'll be curious if they get into more of that. What is that higher dimension? Are we talking about some sort of feud into, I don't know, some heavenly plane or something like that they're pulling from? That would be the big question mark. Obviously, Knives is going into there, so hopefully we'll get more information about that. A little bit odd that it kind of just turned into not them giving, seemingly, not them opening up this gate and giving these plants a soul, but apparently just getting them all pregnant. They open up this greater plane and it preggered all the plants. All right. I guess it's just going to create a whole bunch of independence is really what it is. It's just putting them inside of all these plants because it just, again, it kind of implied they were all pretty much preggers at that point. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see a whole bunch of independents suddenly birthing out of this entire chamber they've created, and we'll see where it goes from there. But again, it goes back to the question that I posed at the very beginning. What's the next step? Obviously, he's essentially taken all these plants from the humans, so they're no longer producing resources, and in return has pretty much made them all bearers of independence. So at that point, what is the next game? Is it just to be this group of beings that just travel around? That's one of those really curious things about what the mindset of Knives is. Like I said, he didn't like the humans because they created conflict. He causes conflict in order to break away from the humans. He could have found a peaceful resolve. If he felt so passionate about the humans not, being destructive as they always are, why would he not be the better person by not creating conflict, or at least finding a peaceful resolve? Finding a way out of the humans' presence without destroying them and being just like them. But again, it doesn't always make sense, or you don't always agree with it, but it does make sense. But the question is now that he's, presumably, at this point, now that he's broken away from the humans and he's been able to create more independence and allow the plants to be independent from the humans, what's the next game? What's the next step? Is it to create a society? And then once you create that society, will you not have divide? I mean, you already have a divide between both Vash and Knives. I love the fact that they're trying to present the idea that the independents are better than humans. They'll break away from the humans that are always in conflict, but yet you only have 2 of you so far, and you're already conflicted. Like, you're already fighting each other. Now, Knives' answer to that is to essentially sync with Vash, consume him and rebirth him as pretty much just like him. So again, you're creating this mindset that we're better, that we create our own, and that we break away from the humans who are terrible and have conflict, but you already have conflict. And your only resolve to that conflict is to basically force everybody to think like you. Again, I like it, and I almost hope that eventually it's kind of pointed out to Knives, the idea of like, you're no different. You beings as independents are no different. Not to say that humans are okay for doing what they do. I'm not saying that war is okay and conflict is okay, but Knives, you're not some special being that's better than the humans. You got your own problems. But again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'll say it countless times. One of the more fascinating aspects of this story is the idea of cohabitation versus breaking apart. This idea that the humans are terrible because they are essentially forcing these other beings into these machines and causing them to force them to produce resources. And then, yes, in the end, when those resources are dried up, to pretty much put them in this overdrive and just pull whatever final resources they can out of it just to kill it off. It's terrible. But at the same time, what is the alternative? What other choice do they have? And can there be some sort of cohabitation? Vash thinks he can, but I mean, most people watching this realize very quickly this doesn't look right. This story has posed a very interesting question of cohabitation and how you can make that cohabitation even work without it looking like they're essentially forcing these plants to have to do their bidding. In the end, it almost looks like Knives' idea is better than Vash's. Knives doesn't look like the bad guy. He doesn't look like the antagonist. Yes, he's done terrible things. Again, I won't deny that. But it has almost made it look like Vash is a worse person than Knives. Knives wants them to separate. And yes, he's done terrible things to do that, but Knives just wants them to separate. He wants the independence and the plants to be separate from the humans. Vash wants the humans to be able to use the plants and lock them up. One looks a lot worse than the other, and I do like that it's doing this. I really want to see the point in which Vash sort of realizes that, or at least gives some sort of indication of why he justifies it. I know he justifies it in the idea that he wants to protect the humans. He wants the humans to survive. And that does make him into the good guy in the idea that he doesn't want them to die. And he knows that if they lose the plants, they'll die. But he also looks like the bad guy. It's a massive gray area. But I'll be interested in what they do with it going forward. And yeah, apparently through this whole ordeal, the entire July has turned into a massive plant person, so we'll see what happens with that one. I like the fact that one guy from like, what was it, the first episode is like sitting there eating his noodles while everybody's pointing guns and firing at this tower. Like, dude, really? I don't know why they've made like this guy that pretty much committed like genocide into a comedic relief character. What? Okay, sure, whatever. But anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 11 of Trigun Stampede. I really don't think this is going to be it. I really do think they're probably going to do another season or something, because this isn't looking like it's anywhere near concluding. There's way too much stuff it seems like they have to kind of wrap up. And so, I don't know, unless they just cut it off and let everything be left to question marks, that's a possibility, but it doesn't seem like this is wrapping up right now. I do have to say, I don't know how, but I made somebody really mad in my last video. I usually don't respond to like outrage comments. I just really don't seem to be any purpose to it. But I did want to kind of mention, I don't know if anybody else besides like the one, possibly two comments each video I make is the majority. Obviously it's not. But if anybody got any indication that I have some sort of personal connection to this story, the old one, the new one, I think in my first video, I made it very clear that I knew this was going to be original, that it's not going to be anywhere like the last adaptation. I had no expectations of that. I didn't care. I think I was like the only one amongst a lot of people that were like, okay, Millie's not here. Who's this Roberto guy? Let's see where it goes. But apparently because I didn't like Roberto, it obviously means that I was always hating Roberto because he's not Millie. I don't give a crap. If anybody had any indication that I have some sort of personal connection to Millie and she has to be in the show, I don't care. I just watch shows, and I enjoy the shows for what they are. And I will never give any sort of point up or point down based on them not including a character from a past adaptation. Trigun Stampede is Trigun Stampede. If suddenly the next episode they transport into a fantasy world with a harem, I'm not going to suddenly give it a 0 out of 10 because Trigun's never done that. Manga might have done that. I don't care. As long as they tell a story as why they went there, that's Trigun Stampede. I think for the most part, it's people looking at other people's opinions and assuming that I ran into a video that said, because Roberto is there and not Millie, I'm suddenly angry and this show is crap. And then they come to my video and I literally make like a brief joke about Millie showing up now that Roberto's gone, and suddenly somebody explodes in my comments and it's like, did you watch somebody else's video and then suddenly assume I have the same opinion? I don't care. I love Millie, but I don't care. She's not in Trigun Stampede, and it's not going to change my judgment on Trigun Stampede. But anyways, I just wanted to get that out there in case anybody was confused. I don't care. Again, Trigun Stampede is Trigun Stampede. Trigun the Maxim is Trigun the Maxim. The original anime Trigun is the original anime Trigun. But anyways, just want to get that out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit the like button because I'm sure what I just said is going to give me a lot of dislikes because anyways. Additionally, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, a tips link, a super thanks button down below. We also have a membership button if you want to become a member of the channel. I greatly appreciate it. It supports the channel, and y'all take care.